Hello and welcome to Mindful Living, where we explore the art of living with the intention, balance, and inner peace. I am Avik, your host, guiding you through conversations on health, meditation, mental well being, mindfulness, and the mind body connection. Each episode features expert insights to help you grow, heal, and thrive. So, take a deep breath, relax, and join us on this journey to a more mindful and fulfilling life. So, let's get started.
Hello and welcome, listeners, to another episode of the Mindful Living podcast. I'm your host, Sana, and we are exploring ways to live healthier, more vibrant lives through mindful practices. Today, we are excited to have a very special guest with us, Lynn Wadsworth, the owner and founder of Holistic Health and Wellness LLC and Energized Healthy Women's Club. Lynn is an AADP certified holistic health practitioner who specializes in helping women, particularly those navigating perimenopause and menopause, regain their energy, vitality, and health. With a personal journey through sugar addiction, autoimmune struggles, and the yo yo dieting, Lynn brings not only expertise but also deep empathy to her work. She believes that health and wellness extend far beyond diet alone, and that even in midlife, women can feel rejuvenated, energized, and they can thrive. So, today on The Mindful Living, we'll dive into topics such as overcoming sugar addiction, managing stress, and creating lasting holistic health changes. So, listeners, let's get started. Lynn, welcome to the show, and it's an absolute honor having you with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate so much being here with you, Senna.
Lovely, lovely. Lynn, your journey to holistic health began with personal experiences like yo yo dieting and dealing with sugar addiction. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how it shaped your approach to wellness today?
Yes, so I consider myself somebody who was pretty ignorant of the best health practices.
Mhm.
And the yo-yo dieting especially had a really negative effect on my body. So by the time I was in my early 40s, I had high blood pressure and high cholesterol and didn't understand why I always was so tired. And the worst part of it was that I've been a migraine sufferer since age 21 when I had my first child. And I was beginning to get migraines daily, and they were very debilitating. And I finally said, because I always felt so bad, enough is enough. I've got to find something that's going to help me get out of this merry-go-round, so to speak. And I actually, because by that time I was addicted to Vicodin because of the migraines, I went to local hospital, which actually has a headache clinic. And at the same time, and I didn't realize it, I started at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition so that I could become a health coach. And what was fascinating to me was that both journeys were holistically approached. So even the approach to migraines was all holistic in what they taught me, other than having to get me off the Vicodin. So it really was like a total transformation for me. I was so used to being at work in the afternoons, 2, 3 o'clock. And luckily I was in my own office because I literally could fall asleep as I was working. I was always so tired and it never seemed to get any better for me. And once I started on this holistic pathway, I stopped feeling like that. I would wake up with energy. I would have energy throughout the day. I began losing weight and feeling so much better. Foggy brain stopped. I just was so much more alert. And it just, of course, for me was like I have to do it now transformation, which isn't the approach I usually take with my clients. I usually do an easy step-by-step implementation. But because my migraines were so bad, it had to be a drastic change. And I learned so many things, both in school and through the hospital rehabilitation program, that have just so changed my life.
Mm-hmm. That's a heck of a journey, Lynn, and very, very
Yes.
inspiring and very revolutionary. Great. Thank you so much for sharing with all of us. So, sugar addiction is a
Yes.
big issue for many people. In fact, in my country, India, diabetes, sugar addiction is one of the major reasons. It's affecting a majority of the population. So, what strategies do you recommend for women struggling, especially women struggling with sugar cravings, especially during perimenopause and menopause?
So, I had my own issues with sugar addiction. So, although I live in Florida, I'm
Mhm.
originally from England, and our English chocolate to me is one of the best chocolates that you can get. So I would go home to visit family, and I would literally pack my suitcase a quarter full with English Cadbury's chocolate. I would this is the very epitome of a sugar addiction. I would bring it home, put it in the freezer, and if my kids dared to go near it, I would just, as we say in England, fly off the handle. It
Yeah.
just was such a big deal for me that I was losing my chocolate, and I would hide in the bedroom so that I could eat not just a few pieces of it, but the whole bar of chocolate.
Goodness.
And that to me is just the same way I was with my Vicodin. It was like it was an addiction. And if I had the slightest bit of a headache, that was what I wanted to go to. So I guess I kind of went to the chocolate, as many people do, not just chocolate, but candy and lots of food here, especially here in the US, loaded with sugar.
Yep.
And what really stopped me dead in my tracks was learning that the same part of the brain that causes addiction, like the Vicodin or cocaine or any other addiction, it's the same part of the brain that is active when we have a sugar addiction. And that really gave me pause for thought, because having been hooked on Vicodin, I knew how dangerous that could be. So, it's the same thought process when we're thinking about sugar. It can be very dangerous. And as I say, it's not just eating the candy. All of our foods here, I know, becoming more worldwide, just they load lots of sugar into there. And so it seems like you cannot get away from that sugar, because if you're eating foods that are store bought, especially, there's lots of sugar added. Even things like yogurt, which I ate a lot of, there's lots of sugar added. So it's not just that one thing. You really have to learn to read your labels. Are you drinking soda? Are you eating processed foods? Are you actually eating a lot of candy or chocolates?
Mm.
What are you taking in the way of sugar? Because it's very detrimental to your body. And in the long term, we want to have good health. And sugar is one of the number one reasons, as you know, for diabetes. And it's not just the sugar alone, it's the foods that we eat.
Mm.
And that's thrown us into this whole mentality of desiring these things that are bad for our health and cause obesity and diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure.
Mhm. So, in your practice, you emphasize that health is about more than just diet. So, can you share how other aspects like stress management or and movement of the body can play a role in overall well-being, holistic well-being, especially
Yeah.
for women in midlife?
Yeah, the holistic part of it I love because it takes in the whole body. It's like the mind, body, soul connection. And when we think about holistic health, it takes into account your stress. It takes into account your movement, your relationships. Stress is a huge one, especially in midlife because our hormones are out of balance. And that doesn't just have to be a midlife thing. I mean, you think about younger women who have things like PMS or PCOS, their hormones are imbalanced. And that causes in and of itself a lot of stress for a woman. It causes weight gain and it causes us to feel bad about ourselves. We lack confidence. And I don't know how it is in India. It's probably the same as here. It's like what I like to call a rat race when it comes to corporate employment, and there's so much stress involved in the workplace. There's stress involved with our families, there's stress involved at this time in history where we've had COVID and there's such an increase in the price in foods and gas and electric and everything. It's stress everywhere. So it's a huge thing to learn how to manage stress. And so because stress is a big thing in women's life, especially in midlife, they have to learn practices to really manage that stress. And actually, movement is one of the things that's involved in managing stress. And it can be such an easy thing to do because we're not saying you've got to spend 60 minutes of your day working on stress management or, working on movement. What I found the most effective for me when I was in the corporate world was just taking 1 to 2 minutes and taking in some deep breaths in and out, or doing some different kind of breathing exercises, do some stretching, walk outside and take in some of that sunshine, which is essential for us to be out in nature. And, it can be little things. Maybe you like to do quick meditations. I know for me, my favorite type of meditation is to envisage something. So I think about myself at the beach, and you include all of your senses. I hear the waves, I hear the seagulls, I can smell the smell of the sand, all of your senses. And if you just picture that for 30 to 60 seconds, it kind of transforms that stress response into a more relaxed, calm behavior. And they're all, learned things that we do, but they become second nature to us. And so we can manage our stress. And as I said, movement is a huge part of stress management. And I learned this a lot more in my journey into fighting migraines, because that was actually one of the things I was in an in-house program for a week, and I couldn't do more than a week. So then they let me go outpatient. But every day we had to end up with being on the treadmill and moving our bodies. So when you've got headaches, it's like a hamster wheel. You feel bad, so you don't want to get up and move. But if you get up and move, it makes you feel so much better. And especially if you get out into nature and move a little bit. And it doesn't have to be, you have to go out and take a 30-minute walk. Just take a 5-minute walk around the block, or just go walk in your yard, or appreciate what's in there. And just little things that you can put into your day that really can help you manage your stress. And then you mentioned movement. So when it comes to movement, I just don't think about taking 30 minutes or an hour at the gym. I think about the little things, because it's movement of our bodies continually throughout the day that helps us the most. And for most of us, we have some kind of watch that can tell us every so often, get up and move. So it's really important to keep moving our bodies and not just be sitting at a desk. Or you could have a husband like mine. He comes into my office about every hour and says, it's time to get up and move. You've been sitting at your desk too long. So it's just simple reminders you can put on your phone, and it doesn't have to be a 15-minute thing. It can be a 5-minute thing if you have that much time But of course, the best kind of movement when we're in midlife is to go out and walk, especially in the fresh air. And it's balance. It causes balance in our life when we do these little things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my next question was just going to be based on this thought, which I think that of course, especially working women or working mothers, they have a lot, more than a lot to handle,
Yes.
in single time. So how can we or their loved ones can help or provide that support mentally and physically to help them navigate through those tough times, give them that encouragement like your husband does for you? How can we help?
So I think that we lost the ability to socially connect when we
Yeah,
had
true.
COVID and we were in lockdown. And I think for many of us, it's an effort to get out and socialize. And even though my family lives close by, it's not like we see one another all the time. But I think if you can make a point, make it a priority, maybe even put it on your calendar and schedule it into your time to get in touch with a friend, to take time out with a family member, because they are our biggest support system. Or if you have somebody like a health coach or somebody like you who does a podcast where it can really encourage people. We want to have that positive input into our lives, and it just doesn't have to come from one place. I think that we have to relearn what we knew 4 years ago, what we were doing naturally. We've got to relearn some of those social connections. Maybe you can join a group of women who go out and walk, and you always find a group of women that when they talk, they really can unburden themselves. But of course, you've got to have somebody in your household that's willing to help you, even for that 30 minutes. With your children. So I really strongly encourage, especially moms, to find a great support system, really find somebody who will share maybe some childcare services, switch over from one another so that you can do the same for each other and support one another. And I think our emotional and our mental well-being are helped so much when we have those social interactions. And even if it's for a short time, I know how good I feel when my children reach out to me and just call to check on us and see how we're doing. It really just lifts up your emotional state. It helps your mind to feel better. So think about how you can help other people, because when you share from your own heart and your own self, people are more likely to reciprocate and do the same for you. And we really need that social connection that's interchangeable, and especially to have a great husband like I have who supports me. If you've got that in your life, make the most of it, because not all households are that blessed.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Lovely, lovely, Lynn. And you talk about mindset in your coaching. So uh, how can we, especially women, cultivate a mindset that helps them embrace that change
Mm.
that comes with midlife rather than feeling defeated by them?
Mm. Well, the one thing I've learned about midlife in my own experience and with coaching other women is that I love to say to them, to me, life begins at 40. I think once I hit 40, and it was a big milestone for me, and I did not like it one bit. But in retrospect, I think that life begins for us then. For many of us, 40s and 50s, our children are beginning to leave home. We may have that empty nester, but if you can think about it as a new phase of your life, where you can really begin a journey of taking care of yourself, cultivating your relationship with your spouse or even your children as they've moved away. It can be some of the best years of our life. We bring in so much wisdom into this season of life that we need to look positively at midlife and not negatively as we've been taught. I think that for me, that was a lesson it took me a while to learn, and which is why I like to really help women appreciate where they're at when they get to that midlife phase. And yes, it is a mindset thing. You have to view it differently. And some of the ways that we can learn to do that in a process is maybe in the morning when you get up, take a couple of minutes before you get out of bed just to stretch, to be thankful, think about what you can be grateful for. And it can just be, I know I had a health scare over the summer where I nearly died, and it's put a whole different perspective on my life. And so I can so easily get out of bed and say, I am so thankful to have this day. I'm so thankful for the breath in my lungs. And I'm thankful for the freedom I have in the country I live in. I'm thankful for my family. There's so many little things that we can have appreciation and gratitude for. And that can really uplift you in the mornings when you first get out of bed. And then, you can practice gratitude throughout the day. If somebody does something nice, really make a point of reflecting on it and thanking them for it, and start to think about all the positive things around you, that it doesn't have to just be giving gratitude, but just to be aware and be a little more reflective of what we have in our lives. We're so busy hurrying that we don't sit back and take the time, but our mindset is such a huge thing. For some people, they like to do affirmations. For some people, they like to take a verse of scripture and meditate on it. And whatever you do that can positively influence your mind is going to be beneficial, not just for you, but for those around you, because it lifts up your mood and it makes you feel better all around. So gratitude to me is the number one thing that I would say to people to help change your mind about things. And I think for women in midlife, we have such a lack of confidence. Our bodies are changing. Things are changing in our world, but if you can try to see it a little bit more positively, that yes, our body's changing, but let me come to terms with the fact that although my body's changing, there are some positive aspects to it. We've got so much into that mindset of diet culture that it's really made women have that lack of confidence in their body. So few of us are going to have that skinny mini body. Maybe we had it in our 20s and 30s, but that's just not the way it's even meant to work as we get older. So I would say take care of yourself, make health a number one priority, but don't get bogged down in these little things. Our life isn't about dieting. It's actually about eating for good health, moving for good health, taking care of our stress for better health. And I think it's a perfect time to have that positivity of where we go on from here when we hit 40, 50 or beyond.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you so much, Lynn, for those incredible words of wisdom and encouragement. And if our listeners want to connect with you, explore how you are helping particularly women in their midlife navigate through those difficult times, how they can do that.
Yeah. So the best place to find me is on the web. On my website is holistic health and wellness, all spelled out.com. You can also go to lynnwadsworth.com. It will take you to the same place. On there, I have some free resources for women in midlife and the opportunity, if you hit the contact me button, to hop on a free call with me. I'm always glad and happy to chat and help you in some small way to overcome your biggest challenge and give you some resources.
Lovely. We'll mention all the details in the show notes for our listeners to refer to. And Lynn, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom and insights with us today. Your holistic approach to health is incredibly inspiring, and I'm very sure our listeners are taking away practical, easy, efficient tips to start improving their well being right away. So, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And listeners, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Mindful Living podcast. And for anyone looking to learn more, be sure to check out Lynn's Energized Healthy Women's Club and her work at the Holistic Health and Wellness. You can refer the show notes along with this episode on your favorite podcast platform. We look forward to seeing the continued impact of Lynn's work, and stay tuned for such incredible conversations on the Mindful Living podcast. Stay healthy, everyone, and take care.